Hey guys, it's me. It's Queen Osset coming to you from Costa Rica. I'm about to go for a swim, but I thought it would be really good if I did a video first because yesterday I saw that I had 598 followers. And I said to myself, or subscribers, and I said to myself, I gotta give everybody a video. I haven't done a video in forever. So I wanna say hello to all 600 of you. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for commenting. One thing that you will notice on my channel is that all of the comments underneath are positive. And I generally get mostly positive comments, thank goddess. But every once in a while I don't. And I do not post them because I'm not giving hatred a platform. So if somebody wants a platform to spread hatred or negativity or whatever, they have to do it on their own YouTube channel because this one is for those of us who want to feel good, okay? So you'll mostly see that on this channel. All right, so thank you, thank you, thank you. And here is our talk for today. Okay. Today's topic is, what is a priestess? What is a priestess? Like, people say to me sometimes, what is a priestess? And to me, it's kind of obvious. It's the feminine form of priest. So it's kind of obvious to me what it is. So when they say that to me, I'm like, huh? But that's not really what they're asking. They're not asking, what is it? They're asking, what do you do? What does that mean? What happens? You know, some people who've never been around a priest or a priestess have no idea what that means. I grew up in a Catholic church, and my godfather is a Catholic priest, which is something that not a lot of people know about me. But now 600 of you know that my godfather was a Catholic priest, and he passed away. But when I was a young girl, he was very influential in my life. He was a really good guy. You know, I know a lot of Catholics get a bad rap. I don't know what kind of things that they get into. I don't know. I've heard very negative stories about molestation with kids. I even heard about that at our parish. But this particular priest, who was my godfather, was a good guy. So he was very influential in my early spiritual understanding. To me, he was Jesus to me. You know, he was so nice and so kind, and to me, he was like so understanding and so supportive, and he was never chastising. He was just a good guy. He was a really nice guy, and he taught me a lot of things about how to be, and I thought he was really cool. So, that was a lucky for me. So I grew up around priests, priestesses, nuns. I'm not priestesses, but nuns. To me, nuns are priestesses. So let me explain what it is. So anyway, so if you have no idea what I'm talking about and you're like, what? A priest or a priestess is a spiritual leader, period. Now, these spiritual leaders have different duties and roles and specific things they do based on the culture that they come out of. So a priest of Ifa is not going to do things exactly the same as a priest of Catholicism or Lutheran priest or something like that. But there are a lot of similarities because, like I said, at their root, they're just spiritual leaders. They lead some kind of spiritual group, and that is what I am. I am a priestess of Mayat. So again, spiritual leader, and we all do our different thing. It really depends on your culture, how you do it, but we all do a similar thing. We help people. We commune with the God and Goddess. Some of us commune with other spirits, the Holy Spirit, for example, Yemaya, for example, Kuan Yin, Ganesha. It just depends on your spiritual system, what culture is from, what country is from, how you do it. That's really the only difference. And that's one of the things about religion and spirituality that is always like baffled me is like we all are basically doing the same thing. We're doing it in different ways, got different names for it, but we're basically doing the same thing. We're finding ways to live our daily lives. We're healing ourselves, and we're, dealing with spiritual issues, emotional issues, mental issues. We're dealing with stuff like that, and we're dealing with it from different areas of life. So let me now speak specifically about what I do. Okay, so now that you know what a priestess is in general, let me explain to you what I do. So, about 20 years ago, I came across a lot of books on Mayat. Mayat is the ancient Egyptian spiritual system. And at this time in my life, I was a very chaotic young lady, very self destructive, and getting into a lot of trouble. Not as much looking back on it. I was in trouble, but I wasn't in the same kind of trouble. Like some people get in trouble, they're getting arrested and stuff like that. I wasn't in that kind of trouble. I was in Erica Kane drama kind of trouble. That's the kind of trouble that I was in. Setting it off, making trouble, things like that. So, really just stuff that I think was just to entertain me now that I think back on it. But that kind of thing. So I was getting in trouble. I knew there was more to life. Somebody gave me a book by Ayan Van Zant. A friend, as a matter of fact, a real close friend at that time, gave me a book by Ayan Van Zant. I took the book and I told her I wasn't ready to read it. Because when I read the back of it, it was so deep. I was like, I ain't ready for all this. Said straight up. I was like, I am not ready for all this. I mean, it was deep. I'm just the back of it. It was like changing and growth and being a better person. I was like, whoa. So I didn't read it. I kept it though. I kept it because I knew when I touched it, this is where you need to go. But I knew I wasn't ready. So I took it and put it in the drawer. And I guess at that time I was in college, and life just, I knew there was more to it. I knew I wasn't doing what I needed to do. So one day I finally read the book, and that book led to other books. That led to other books. That led to other books. That led to Mayat. That led me to going to Africa. That led me to reading more books. That led me to saying, okay, I want to initiate and be a priestess. And how you initiate is either you're taking in by a tradition, Yoruba, Mayat, whatever the case is. You're taking in by a tradition, Judaism, Hinduism. You're taking in, and you're, ordained. Basically, you're blessed to be that spiritual leader. That's one way. The other way is do what we call a self-initiation. A self-initiation is when you basically say to God, I am yours. Do what you want to do with me. I am your vessel. And you can, I did an elaborate, I'm Aquarius, so I did an elaborate ceremony. I created elaborate initiation ceremony for myself. And I had read enough books to know how they were done. And I created one for myself, and I promised myself and my life to all set. God is all set. I promised to be a priestess of Mayat, and I promised to bring Mayat to other people. I promised to help people. And when I say Mayat, I didn't mean I promised to bring the spiritual system to other people. I promised to bring what Mayat gives us: love, truth, righteousness, healing to other people. And that's how I did mine. I offered myself to the goddess, and she accepted me. So those are the two different ways you can become a priestess. Now, after you do that, what does a priestess do? A priestess basically, like I said, depending on the tradition, here is mine. The priestesses in ancient times had different things they had to do. Like there were priestesses that were in charge of like helping couples who were having problems in their relationships. There were priestesses that were at the temple, and basically they were just devoted to, like they all were devoted to a particular god or goddess. They may have been, practicing overall is called Mayat, but they may have been devoted to Auset, devoted to Mayat, devoted to Haru, devoted to Sekhmet. They were devoted to different gods and goddesses. And they went about loving the goddess and doing whatever they felt the goddess instructed them to do. Helping people, talking with people, giving potions to people, helping people with ailments. Basically, your job is to help other people with whatever they're going through. helping them find answers. It's like a life coach almost, you know. It's the same thing a pastor does. A pastor is nothing but a priest. The same thing a minister does. You know, they all do the same kind of thing. They're all spiritual leaders. So in whatever tradition you're in, you follow the lines of your spiritual leader. So every spiritual leader can do different things. Like some of us are, like for instance, if you are a in the tradition of Islam, and let's say you're one of those, I don't know what they call their spiritual leaders. I guess I'm trying to think of the name. I don't know what they call them because I'm thinking that Elijah Muhammad was a spiritual leader, but I don't know if he had like a name he went by, like what they call their spiritual leaders. Those of you who are Muslim, you'll know what your spiritual leader is called. Well, the spiritual leader, as far as that's concerned, there are certain things that spiritual leader will do to guide people who are also Muslim. But then a priestess of Mayat, we would do it in a different kind of way. You're doing the same thing, it's just in a different kind of way. And most of us base it on some doctrine. The Muslims use the Quran. A Catholic priest would use the Bible. Some of, they use different things. I use the 42 laws of Mayat. That's it. And you can Google the 42 laws of Mayat. But when I deal with somebody, I help somebody spiritually, I use the 42 laws of Mayat. When I deal with my own life, I use the 42 laws of Mayat. Very simple, not as thick as the whole, big book, but it's very simple. And if you read it and you follow the things that it says, I have not done. If you don't do those things, you'll live a pretty good life. So when I'm talking to somebody, that's where I come at from that spiritual standpoint. All of us use some kind of a doctrine, either paper or like in the Native American tradition, the shamanism or the medicine man, the medicine woman, again, spiritual leaders, they use whatever oral traditions or written traditions, I think a lot of them are oral, that they got from their foremothers and forefathers, and that's how they lead their people. So basically, like I said before, we all do pretty much the same thing, we just do it in different ways. So one of the things I'll tell you that I do the most is readings. Now, some traditions do readings, some traditions don't do readings. Some traditions don't believe in using magic. My tradition does. I use all kinds of magic. I do all kinds of readings. If you go to somebody who's like a Buddhist spiritual leader, they have monks, and I think they call them ajans or something like that. The monks, they are spiritual leaders and they don't believe in using different forms of magic, but they do talk to spirits. They do know the spirits exist. So like everybody has their own little nuances to it. I can do readings. I can do magic. I do magic. I can do things to help heal people. I make things to help heal people of spirit, mind, body. Things along those lines. So one of the things I do the most is readings. I do a lot of readings. And people often ask me about these readings. I did a video, one of my first videos in this series, before I even called it Ask An Aquarius, I did a reading on myself so you can see how I do the reading. But basically what happens is that I use cards. I use tarot cards and I use angel cards. And oracle cards as well. And what happens is that somebody calls me and they ask me for a session. They pay me, I charge $65. It comes up to $68 because of PayPal fees, and $35 for a half an hour, $68 for an hour. So they call me, they drop me some cash, we make an appointment, and I call them on Skype or on Facebook Messenger. And for an hour or a half an hour, we sit together and I read the cards. I get myself nice and, balanced and open. And I pull out, I usually use a couple different decks. If it's a half an hour reading, I might use 2 or 3. If it's an hour reading, I usually get about 7 of them in. And I sit and I read their cards. Now, some people come to me with a specific question. And that's what they want to work on for their half an hour or their hour. Some people come to me, they're just lost. They don't know what to do. Their life is going and they just don't know what to do with it. They're not getting what they want. They just like, just tell me what you see. And then I just pull out, if it's an hour, about 7 different decks. And we just go through them and see what the reoccurring themes are and how they tie and how they can heal it. And all of that is what comes up in the reading. Basically, the reading tells us what's wrong and how to fix it. And they can come to me with a specific question or they can come to me just wanting a general reading. either or. I answer whatever they ask me. You know, if they ask me for um, relationship advice or medical advice, things along those lines, I do answer those questions. But generally, I've come to find that whenever I get medical questions, the cards always are like, go see this physician, go see this, go see that. They always send them out to somebody who does medical work. I've seen some people who won't do medical readings for one reason or another. I'll do them, but the cards instantly send them like, you need to see somebody, like you need to go. You know, some people don't do relationships. I definitely do relationships because they come up in the reading. One of the most important things in your life is your romantic relationships. I don't care what nobody say. People try to front like romance isn't important, like their relationships aren't important. But I saw a study once that said that your chances for happiness go up 50% by picking the right person to spend your life with, the right lover, the right husband, the right wife, the right life partner. 50%. That's pretty important. So I answer relationship questions. I answer, basically whatever. The only thing I don't do is lottery. They don't come out right. I don't know why, but for some reason, whenever I do lottery, like people ask me for numbers, it never is right to me. I don't know. It just never. I don't think the spirits like it. I don't. I get the feeling from them that they feel like it's trivial. They don't think money is trivial. They know that the spirit of money is important for us as human beings. But when somebody comes to me, I get that vibration from them like they're not really feeling it. So I never do it. You know. I've done games a couple of times, had a couple people win a lot of money from sports bets, but again, they don't seem to like that, so I just stopped doing it. I do not do it. I leave it alone. So you got to ask somebody else for that kind of stuff. But when it comes to healing, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to those kind of things, even like the other day, a girl told me her father had died, and she wanted to talk with him. She wanted to get in touch with him, in his spirit. And she wanted me to contact him, and we did. We took the cards and we talked to him, and we asked him questions, and he answered them. You know, so those are the kind of things that I do. That's what I do. Very, very modest, very inexpensive, and I sit and I help people figure those kind of things out. I also make what I call enchanted oils. As a matter of fact, I just started making them again. Enchanted oils is 7 of them, 7 different kinds. And generally, I sell them on Etsy. I haven't put them back up yet, but I'm going to. And the enchanted oils are for protection, love, money, emotional healing, physical healing. They're basically potions that I market as like bath oil, because most people put them in their bath. And some people use them to decorate their candles. Like people who do candles, we dress our candles in oil. You use them to decorate, to dress your body. If you're trying to work on a certain vibration, if you're trying to manifest money, if you're trying to manifest love, if you're trying to manifest something, you wear these oils to try to draw it towards you. So I do those. I do a lot of those. I bless eggs, yoni eggs. I bless crystals. Another thing, a friend of mine asked me to do her wedding, so I'm going to actually do the paperwork one day so I can actually do people's weddings because I think that's going to be really fun, you know. Um, and also bless babies. Some people have brought their babies to me to bless and pray over, and I just, I hold their babies and I kiss them and I ask Goddess to bring to them the spirit and the love and the attention that they need. So those are the things that a priestess does. But the majority of, and I cast spells, that's the other thing, because in my tradition, we cast spells. And a spell is basically a concentrated prayer. That's really what it's a very intricate, complicated, because you have to, do all the motions of it, write all the motions. Every time you do a spell, it's like writing an original prayer, basically, and then acting it out, at the right full moon or the right moon, the new moon. It's a whole complex way to do it, but it's basically a concentrated prayer, and you sit with the goddess and you put forward what you need and pray on what you need. And most times, the energy helps you, and you get what it is that you need. Spells are, a lot of people do different types of spells. In our tradition, we don't hurt people. You know, Mayat is about goodness and truth and light. So we don't hurt people. We don't do spells to harm people. We only do spells to help people. So spells that will heal someone, we do a lot of those. A lot of protection spells. A lot of protection spells. You know, even love spells. You know, some people don't do love spells. Some people say that it takes your free will. You know, but we do them in our tradition. We do protection spells a lot. I think I mentioned that one already. We do a lot of just different, like, things along those lines, you know. So, you know, we do a lot of them. Usually on the full moon, I do spells. The new moon, I do spells. Depends on what people need. People come to me a lot when somebody's bothering them. They want them to go away. And we got to do a hot foot spell on them to get them to go away. You know, and spells cost different amounts of money. Like spell work, enchanted oils I sell for like $20 a bottle, depending upon where they're shipping from. Spell work starts at like $75, and a lot of times you only need one spell. You know, it really depends on how stubborn the energy is of what you're working on. Sometimes you have to repeat it, sometimes you don't. You know, most people don't. So it just depends on what it is. Like if it's a stubborn person in your life, sometimes you have to do banishing spells, you know, a series of them to push their energy away from you, and get them to leave you alone, to banish them, you know, to get them to go far, far away, you know, that kind of thing. Sometimes they don't go anyway, they just leave you alone, you know, so it's that kind of energy. But yeah, that's what a priestess of Mayat does. And Mayat, there are followers of Mayat, modern followers of Mayat. People have heard me talk about it before. There's a society of them. But I'm not in the society. I'm a lone wolf because the society follows a modern tradition. And I don't have anything against it because I've actually read their books. I used their books during my initiation. I really enjoyed them. But they don't follow ancient Maya. They have added in some of their own things. For example, they're all vegetarians, and the Egyptians ate meat. So I'm going to keep eating meat with the Egyptians, you know. So they just have changed some things, you know, and I didn't really particularly want to go with the changes, so I just stayed with the old way, you know, no big deal. They go their way, I go mine. So they got some good stuff, but it just wasn't for me. I can't do the vegan vegetarian thing. I just can't. I don't. It just doesn't work for me because I believe in balance, and I believe that if you're balanced, then you're eating a balanced diet, and meat is part of a balanced diet. You know, if and I do think we need to kill animals in more ethical ways, though. I've watched a lot of videos and things about, you know, farms and things, and I think we can do better. I think we can be more ethical. We can do more organic. We can do better. You know, we can treat them better. But I can't do vegan. I can't do vegetarian. I just can't. To me, it's just unbalanced for me. You know, other people do it. They love it. It is, you know, it's their thing, and God bless them. You know, it's just not my thing. So I think it's just like religion. You know, you got to pick your own way. You know, your diet and what you eat is very personal to you. You know, so it is what it is. So yeah, so I'm not in that society. I'm a lone wolf, and yeah, that's what I do. And most of the time, those are the things that I do. I help people, and that's that. So if you're somebody who needs services, anything from, you know, you feel haunted. I've had a lot of people come to me because they felt like they had been like haunted, they had been cursed. I've known people who've had like people put bad spells on them from other traditions and come to me to take them off. I've had all kind of stuff like that happen. Some people come to me just because they're in despair, like they feel depressed, they feel mentally ill, they don't know what to do about it, you know, and they'll come to me and they'll be like, "What do I do?" And we'll look at the cards and see, like, how can they fix this? Women who've come to me when they were infertile, you know, how can we, if we can fix this, how can we fix this, you know? So basically, any problem that a person has, if they think that their spouse is cheating, if they're having a hard time finding a person to be with, basically any problem that a person is having, any human problem, I help them figure out how to fix. And that's what happens during the reading. And we talk about them. And some people come to me situationally. Every time something happens, they have a hard time with me, they talk to me. Some people come to me once a week. Some people come once a month. Some people come every year on their birthday. Some people come, just at random when they feel like they need a reading. It's been a while. So that's how it's done. People come and I answer their questions and I help them do what they got to do and see what they got to see, and then they move on. The funny thing about doing readings is that whenever we start to talk, people always knew what I said. Whatever the spirits tell them, they already knew every single time, but didn't want to do it or ignored it or something like that every single time. It's like people are not very self-aware. And the spirits are like, tell them this, and this. And I'll tell them, what I'm seeing in the cards, and they're like, oh my God, I knew that. And I'm like, of course you did, because I'm getting the information from your energy. When I do a reading, I'm pulling your energy, literally. I'm sitting there pulling your energy towards me, and then I push it back out through the cards. So if I read you, on some level, you have to already know. It's already in your energy. It's already in your field. And the thing is that some people ignore or don't know or doubt or can't follow their intuition or something like that. But if I read it, it's already there, and on some level you have to have known. And sometimes you just need somebody to point it out to you. So that's what I do. That's what I do most of the time. And it's been a ride. It's been quite a journey. I've heard a lot of horrible stories. I've had a lot of positive things happen. I've seen women go from infertile to having a baby. I've seen people in relationships who were about to break up renew their vows. Um, I've seen people commit suicide because they couldn't take it anymore and didn't want to work on it anymore. Um, I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot doing this work. And I would never trade it for anything else in the world. And to be honest with you, it's the best job I've ever had. It's the hardest job I've ever had, but it's the best job I've ever had. So, anyway, if any of you would like to make an appointment with me, feel free. Feel free. I don't have a lot of slots. I only have time slots Monday through Thursday. And I usually do them, I do them in Eastern time. So I always have an 11 a.m. Eastern slot open. I have a 9 p.m. and a 10 p.m. based on where I am in the world. So 11 a.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. And that's only Monday through Thursday. So as you can imagine, I usually book all those slots. But like I said, if you want to make an appointment, please feel free, and we'll figure out what I can help you, how I can help you. And like I said, I mostly work with Egyptian spirits, but not solely. I work with Tahuti, I work with Sekhmet or Set. I work with angels too. That's another thing. I work with angel cards. So when I do somebody's reading, I definitely use tarot because tarot is my favorite medium, but I also use angel cards. I have angel cards from a couple different people, and I work very strongly with the angels. Almost every culture has known the angels. The angels do not belong to any one culture. They don't belong to Christians. They don't belong to Jews. Almost every culture, all the way back to ancient times, has had interactions with the angels. So they don't belong to any one group of people, any one group of people's rules. The angels belong to us all. They respond to us all. If we need help, they're there. And so I do angel card readings. I usually make that part of the reading. Like I said, I read from several different decks, and usually two of them might be angels, one of them might be tarot, and then I might have one or two oracle decks or something like that. And I pick the decks based on the person's personality or what I'm feeling from them, or what the cards just say, hey, pick me today. Sometimes you need a specific message from a specific place. One of my oracle decks is animal spirits, so I use that one with people who are into animals and animal things like that. People who are shamanic or using shamanic spiritual systems. So I have a lot of different ones. I think I have like 300 decks. One time I did a video of all my decks and my friends were like, "You are sick." Like, "Oh my God." But seriously, I use them all. None of them are none of them are useless. I use them all. So, they're not just collector's items, people. They really get used. All right, so it's time for me to get going. That's what a priestess is. That's what a priestess does. And if anybody wants to see me, you know how to find me. I'm going to put at the bottom of here my PayPal information. And all you got to do is throw me some cash and hit me up for an appointment. Okay? See you later.